Welcome to another episode of Fresh Film Fridays, the Book of Boba Fett edition, the podcast where two dudes watch the Book of Boba Fett the day it airs and discuss it. Today we're talking about episode 3, which was directed by Robert Rodriguez and written by Jon Favreau. I'm your co-host Alec.
I'm Justin, and today we have guest Billy with us.
I'm Billy, and I'm a friend of Alec and Justin's, and I love Star Wars.
Yeah.
You're like, I like Star Wars, and I'm here to party.
Absolutely.
Yeah, Billy, you were on Wheel of Horror like a year ago for Christmas Vacation, right?
We did that, and then we did John Wick also.
That's right. Okay, cool. Yeah, so you've been on a
Yep.
bunch. You're always here
Yep.
for like the specials, you're always here for like if we do Book of Boba Fett or Christmas or action. So welcome back.
Yeah, man. Like you said before we started recording, I love bullshitting about movies and shows that I'm into, and I'm happy to come on anytime.
Obviously, Mandalorian was amazing so far. I've been loving this. Justin, obviously, we've been talking about the past 3 weeks together, but Billy coming in fresh. What were your first thoughts? What did you think of the episode 3?
I loved episode 3. I liked the first episode. Good amount of action, set the stage. I didn't love, I guess, all the dialogue in it, but then I think episodes 2 and 3 were a lot better. I mean, yeah, and I'm really enjoying it. I didn't watch many. I watched like 1 or 2 trailers. I kind of came into it fresh. I didn't try to look up what was going to be covered in the show or kind of what the theme would be. So I'm really enjoying like the dual timelines, the flashbacks, between him and the Tuskens and then to what's going on now. I like some of the characters they've introduced, and yeah, I mean the awesome action sequences, like the fight with Black Krrsantan in this past episode. Awesome, electric brass knuckles.
What you'd said, actually, something that Justin, you've been hearing a lot on Twitter, is about how like people thought the first episode was a little bit slow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I mean, they definitely, I think they sufficed with the action in episode 2.
Yeah, I didn't dislike the first episode by any means, but I thought it was a little slow, and some of it was a little on the nose, like when the mayor's guy comes to pay him tribute, and then Fennec literally has to say, like, wait, he wants you to pay him tribute. And I was stuff like that I didn't necessarily love. But I mean, I didn't, there was plenty of action, the whole assassination attempt and all that. And then I loved episodes 2 and 3.
Yeah, dude. 2, 100% Justin, made up for the action. And then this one kind of was a nice mix of both, but it is a little bit where you were talking about, Billy, with the timelines, where he's being, helping out the Tusken Raiders. That finally comes to an end. And we kind of see the Pike clan. They are the reason for this. So the Pike and the mayor may have killed the Tusken Raiders. Now they're trying to screw over Boba Fett. So it's like, it's all kind of starting to come together now.
No doubt. And oh yeah, that hurt when he came up back to his Tusken Raider camp and they were all just massacred. That was surprising. But I mean, it's like you said, Alec, it's a good way to kind of tidy it all up and kind of end, we got a couple episodes of that and now they both merged together into the one, present day plot line.
Well, Justin, super quick. We were talking about this in the Matrix podcast where it's like anytime somebody's like dead or about to die, there's always that convenient 10 seconds where the character's just like, oh, like, you need to do this or this guy did this. I'm so happy they didn't do that with like that little Tusken Raider kid who's just like, and he's just
if like Boba was holding one, he was just making inaudible animal groans,
Yeah.
and he's like, I know. He's like, I'll tell your grandmother, mate.
Yeah, he's like, what do you mean, the Pikes? Like, I'm so glad that didn't happen.
Well, I guess this squashes my theory from the last episode where I'm like, maybe he'll like employ the Tusken Raiders to be his guard.
Oh, yeah.
That didn't happen. So.
That would have been cool. I'm with you though, Justin, and it happened this episode. I was waiting for him to get like a bigger crew because it's only been him, Fennec, and his 2, the fat green pig-looking guard guys.
Gamorreans,
yeah. So I was waiting for him to get more of a crew because there's all these different factions, gangs, organizations that, were running a lot deeper than he had been.
Yeah, it was definitely necessary that he needs more people. And I know this was the first episode I made notes on. And I'm happy you brought that up, Billy, because I know that I'm going to go on to Twitter tonight and people are going to shit on the fact that like one of the most notorious bounty hunters and now crime lords hires this like gang of like rowdy, like Tatooine biker gang kids who probably have no experience killing people. And like, guys, yes, we have to understand that Disney is putting their spin on Star Wars. It's Disney owned now, guys. I'm sorry, but They're still pretty cool, even though Black Chrysanthemum beat the shit out of all 20 of them.
Oh yeah, they stood no chance against him.
I was thinking the same thing. I was watching. I was like,
It was sick.
who are these Planeteers? Like, who the fuck are these kids?
Oh yeah, you could. I could already see like a Walmart shelf full of action figures of all their distinctly colored bikes.
Yep.
Oh,
Disney
yeah.
just printing money with action figures, whatever stuff like that.
It's gotta be Hot Wheels bikes. What about the guy from what is that, Office Space? When he showed up, I was like, "You have my stapler?"
Oh
That
my
guy?
god, he is Stephen Root, I think, right?
Yeah, from
Yeah,
Dodgeball.
Yeah,
yeah,
he's in
yeah.
Barry. He's in Get Out. He's in a lot of stuff.
Do you think they set him up to be kind of a dark horse, foil to Boba Fett? He was a little pissed at him at the way he handled the situation.
I don't think this will be the last we see of him, but it was cool because he made it seem like this gang of kids was stealing his water from him, and he even offered Boba double. But then we find out that like he was charging such outrageous prices that like nobody could afford it.
Yeah, what do you think the cost of water actually is on Mos Eisley? He said 1,300 credits.
Well, in Dune, it's the most important, so I don't know.
Yeah, yeah, no, well, there's moisture farmers. That's what Luke
They said,
was.
yeah, 1,300 credits. That was a month's wage for a week's worth of water.
Yeah, and they didn't even have jobs. There were no jobs to find.
Huh.
And I don't know about you guys, but I don't think Tatooine's handing out unemployment benefits. So
Probably not.
Yeah, I thought the same thing. I'm like, all right, so is this show going to turn into Boba Fett is like the mayor now, and he has to deal with like politics and industry, economy,
Oh
like,
my god. He's issuing stimulus checks like, listen,
yeah, literally, like,
it's like Tatooine has inflation on water prices.
yeah, like yes, exactly. He's weighing in on water prices and supply.
yeah, it's like, wow, this show really got like bogged down in the details. Like, he's kidding.
Alec, I will say though that it started, and when like Disney Plus loaded the episode, it quickly showed the length of it. And when I saw 37 again, I was like, "Son of a bitch!" Like I thought we were over this.
Yeah.
Yeah, The Mandalorian does the same thing. The episode lengths vary like big time episode to episode.
Like Billy, I just want to see 45. That's it.
Yep, I agree. And like obviously they have because the last episode was 50 whatever.
Yeah.
Like they have enough material to make for that amount of screen time and yet they decide to do these short 38-minute episodes. And I think The Mandalorians had some that were like 34, like real short.
The only thing I can think
Yeah,
of is just it's so expensive probably to make these episodes.
Alec, I think they can afford it.
Disney's
Okay.
not doing well, guys. I don't think they can afford
Dude, they
it.
charge like $6,000 for one park ticket. They're
I
fine,
know,
dude.
I know. There were a couple things I noticed though. Did you guys see when the bike gang crashes through the painting? What that painting was?
It was like Jabba, wasn't it?
Yeah, so I froze it, which is a pain in the ass on Disney Plus to freeze frame. You can't go like frame by frame. It's like 10 seconds only, so it sucks. But yeah, it's a painting of Jabba with Bib Fortuna behind him and Boba Fett behind him. So it was
Oh
like,
shit.
yeah, so I was like, oh damn. So it must have been, drawn around when they captured Han and all that stuff. And I was just like, who's
Interesting.
drawing this? Yeah.
Alec, I want to see what did anything come to mind when they showed the scene of Boba riding the bantha? Did you think of anything specific?
Indiana Jones 2 with the elephant? I don't know.
That's it?
I don't know. It looked awesome.
Dude, immediately when I saw that, the Samurai Jack song came into my head. It reminded me of like him riding that big ass like wildebeest thing.
Oh yeah.
Do you know what I'm talking about?
I do, yeah. Oh yeah, I guess
Yeah,
that yeah.
that's just me. I don't know. Dude, let's talk about that fight scene because that was one of the most badass fight scenes I think we've seen probably in Star Wars, like including the movies too. Like somehow Black Krrsantan or however you pronounce his name got into his castle somehow.
Mhm.
And again, I don't know why Boba has no like immediate guards within his vicinity, but he just doesn't. And beat the shit out of Boba Fett, right? And he beat up the four like gang kids that came out, and then he was just like those Gamorrean pigs were squealing for help. It was awesome.
I loved it right off the bat when Boba like tries to grab his leg and take him down. I'm just like, I was thinking like, what are you doing? Like this is like, superhuman strength basically. And like Justin said, it's one of the coolest fights we've seen in Star Wars because as like a non-force user, he's probably one of the most powerful like individual fighters I think they've shown. Who's a non-force user.
Oh yeah.
And yeah, he soaks, Boba's like hacking him up with his the Tusken Raider staff. I forget the specific name of it. He's punching holes in them and the kids are using their little trinkets on him and he just soaks it all and then absolutely duffs that one bodyguard with the brass knuckles. Yeah.
Dude, when he bit his neck, I thought he was gonna rip his like jugular out and kill him.
Oh yeah. No, I know. I was like, please don't die. Please don't die.
I
I want to know
almost
more.
thought he was trying. It looked like he was trying to take Boba alive, like just knock him out or something. Because I don't know. I feel like when he was fighting against the other bodyguards, he was throwing a lot harder punches. And yeah, like when he bit him, he could have ripped his hand off or something.
Oh, dude, he let out such a stereotypical hog squeal when he. I was like, oh, dude, that poor pig.
Well, that's the same noise it makes when he's in the Rancor pit in Return of the Jedi.
Well, now we know because if you remember Alec from episode one, I told you that Boba and Krasantian are in comics together. So maybe the comics are post the Boba show, like because he let him go, and maybe you'll see him in a couple episodes come back and they like he works for him.
I
Mm.
was just gonna ask you guys that, Justin. Like he has to come back at some point, right? The way they
Oh yeah.
left
Oh,
it off. I almost thought they were gonna become allies, like right then and there, but I guess they're saving that for a later
he's
date.
way too badass to not
Yeah.
come back. I would have liked to seen him just stay there, but maybe it'll be a dramatic approach. Like in the end, Boba needs help from somebody, and you just see Krasantian pop up and help him out, and then they become buddies and stuff.
Oh yeah.
Right.
He's definitely gonna come back.
Contract help in certain situations.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude, because he hires everyone who he saves. Like, that Alec, you mentioned how he's doing things differently than the Huts, and like people don't like it, but also he's growing his own little like family of people he's helping.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like he saw what the Tuscans were going through. He's seen what Tatooine's become, or has always been, basically, in his lifetime. So I think he's trying to change it. We don't really know why, though. Why he really cares about diplomacy and peace and fairness.
Yeah, I thought about that too, Alec. Like, why is he doing this? And I mean, if the explanation is just he doesn't want to be a bounty hunter anymore and he needs to do something, and this is what he knows, like, and just kind of like the unsaid explanation, I'm fine with that. But I would like it also if they did a little backstory onto why he wants to take over Tatooine.
Yeah, or at least doing it so peacefully and trying to be fair with everybody. The one thing I do want to know, though, that Rancor, wow, never thought I'd see something like up close and like, we learned so much about the Rancors yesterday.
Oh yeah,
They're peaceful.
everyone wants a pet Rancor now.
Oh yeah, it's like the baby Yoda of Mandalorian now. It's like the
Well,
new
I
hot.
thought it was cool that like the first human he sees or whatever, like he, like imprints himself, like AKA that's his master. And then like Danny Trejo of all people is like training him. And when he left, he's like, he'll be back. I'm like, this is awesome, dude.
So I kind of sensed when that he'll be back line, I kind of sensed a little devious connotation in it, like, oh, he'll be back, like they're playing him somehow. Did you guys get that at all?
Hmm.
Well, theoretically, I mean, this Rancor could have been like quote unquote imprinted on someone else that
Right,
the
that's what
Huts
I
gave
thought.
him, and
Right.
then Danny. But I mean, I feel like if he was that close to him, Danny Trejo would have just been like, kill him. But
You're right though,
That's
Billy.
true.
Maybe it is kind of like don't worry, he'll be back later for you to be able to finish him off.
Yeah, or like it's a plant, like the Huts had something planned.
I mean, it makes sense.
And I did like, they set it up in episode 2 that, okay, it's gonna be him versus the Huts kind of as the overall, conflict in this season, and then they kinda tossed that out the window in this episode, which was a nice little curveball, I thought.
Yeah, wasn't expecting that. And Justin, we talked about the Pikes or whatever in the last season, or last episode. I thought for some reason it was going to be the Crimson Dawn, that group from Solo that's run by Kira
oh,
and Darth
oh
Maul.
yeah.
Yes, okay, yes, Alec, I agree, and I saw something on Twitter that kinda sent me down this path of thinking, but you know how, like, in The Mandalorian and all the future Star Wars shows, they're trying to weave in other characters from other shows, other Star Wars properties,
Hmm.
with Luke and Ahsoka and a bunch of other characters, Bo-Katan and The Mandalorian, and I think Kira from Solo is, like, the perfect character to weave into back into the Star Wars universe in the Book of Boba Fett, just, being a part of the criminal underworld and kind of like the only surviving character from Solo in that world.
Yeah, I mean, dude, with that new, was it Cassian Andor show coming out? Like, there's so much ways they could weave this all in together, and who knows? Who knows?
They're all going to be intertwined somehow.
Eventually.
Darth Maul sighting in one of these shows.
I 100% think that's coming up. The other thing I want to ask you guys, I know I've kind of talked to you about this individually. I am calling this right now. I think Mace Windu is still alive, and I think that Boba Fett is going to kill him. I think Boba Fett's going to find
Oh
out that the guy that
shit.
killed his father is still alive, and I think eventually, what I really think is going to happen is the Mandalorian, they're going to need Mace Windu to like help Grogu out for some reason, and then right before it happens, I think Boba Fett's gonna kill Mace Windu, and it's gonna make
Well,
everybody conflicted because you're like, I like Boba Fett, but I also like Mace Windu.
They should if they do that, which I think would be very cool. They should definitely do a Mace Windu series first, just explaining like how he survived, what he's been doing, not just bring him back and he's like motherfucker and he kills him. That would suck.
Well, of course not. Of course.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, what? Okay, if he's alive and the timeline works with Samuel L. Jackson's age, that works too.
Yep.
But like, yeah, what has he been doing this entire time? Like when Grogu sent out his signal, calling to the Jedi for help in the Mandalorian, did Mace hear that? It was just like, yeah, you know what? I'm good. I'll sit this one out, and then I'll come back. I'll come back for some other reason on Tatooine later.
Well, I read like conspiracy theories about it that like after because he like quote unquote died right when 66 happened. Like I read that he became like a gray Jedi and that he lost like touch with some of his force power. So like maybe he couldn't sense Grogu. They could go anywhere with it, honestly.
Dude, when Emperor Palpatine threw him off the building in Coruscant, he smashed his head so hard that they had to put neural implants in. He forgot how to use the Force, but he was still Force sensitive. Guys, I have a whole thing. I've written it out. But
He has amnesia, Jedi
yeah.
amnesia.
But anyways, back to the book of Boba Fett. What also has happened between Jango's death and Empire Strikes Back? I was also thinking like we don't really know how Boba Fett became Boba Fett still.
Well, it keeps flashing back to when he was a kid and when his dad was leaving, like the last time he ever. For some reason, when he's on Camino and it keeps going off,
Yeah.
not the last time, but like, yeah, dude. Once he dies, I was thinking about that today. He's like a kid. He's like I don't know, 12 years old when his dad died.
Mhm.
There could be like a however long year gap of him becoming an adult, and we don't know what he did.
Right.
Yeah, that would be cool to see too, and we could definitely get if it's done in a flashback, we could get Vader in there as well, like, which I could see them doing honestly, because Hayden Christensen's reprising Vader for the Obi-Wan series, so I could see them doing a little tease with that through a flashback, with Boba Fett to that time period.
They're gonna have to do some flashback stuff because there's literally the first time we meet Boba Fett, he must be in his 40s in Empire Strikes Back. So there's time between Attack of the Clones and Empire Strikes Back that we just have no idea how he became so good at doing everything. We know he gets his dad's armor and he gets his dad's ship, but like how much training could he really got by the time his dad was
Uh,
killed?
Why'd the armor get painted green?
Right.
Well, the better question is who did he train with?
Yeah, exactly. There's so many questions that I'm hoping since that Tusken Raider line or timeline kind of got put aside now because they're all dead. Maybe we'll find out.
You're like I'm happy that they
Well,
all
do you guys
died.
is there gonna be a season 2 of this? Because that could be something I could see them, like, they establish what happened after the Sarlacc pit and everything in season 1, then in season 2, I could see them going even further back to, his bounty hunting
Oh.
days.
Yeah, because this is the book of Boba Fett, so maybe this is like chapter 10 of the book of Boba Fett, and we go back to like chapter 4 or something. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't think Disney's gonna stop anytime soon.
No.
If they have from a financial point of view, if they have the potential to make another season and make millions, they're going to. But also, if the fans love it enough, which I think they do, they're not gonna stop.
I mean,
Oh, no doubt. Plus, once they have the full stable of shows, they already have 6 or 8, however many they're coming out with, they're able to just weave each character into each other's shows, which forces the viewers to watch all of them.
yep.
Mhm.
They're giving it the Marvel treatment. Well,
Exactly.
John Favreau did a lot with the Marvel universe too, and now he's kind of just like, well, it really worked with that, so let's try with Star Wars.
Yeah, and Disney owns both.
Hey, I'm down. I wish they gave Favreau the sequel trilogy. He knows Star Wars clearly better, good as anybody, anyway.
Oh my God. What if, like, seriously, in like 15 years, they're like, all right, John, Dave, we're going to let you redo the sequels. It's like, what? I mean, could you imagine?
Yeah, I mean, why they? Yeah, I don't even want to talk about Rian Johnson. I don't even want to.
Yeah, never mind. I shouldn't have
I
brought
mean,
that up. I shouldn't have brought it up.
either that, I mean, they're gonna do another main timeline trilogy at some point in our lives. Obviously, it's not over. So I could see them, maybe not redoing the sequels, but just doing another trilogy that takes place after the sequels, whether it's about Rey or Finn or whoever the hell.
Dude, they need to stop with the Vader thing, even though I love Vader, and they need to just do Knights of the Old Republic.
Mm.
I'm psyched. That's the show I'm probably most excited for is the High Republic show they're coming out with.
Yeah, Justin, you've been playing Knights of the Republic 2 on your PC recently, right?
I just restarted it, and dude, it would be great. Like they could show how all the Sith and the Jedi were one, and how slowly like politics broke them apart, and like then they break out into this massive war. Like why has this not been done yet?
Yeah, I mean, it probably will. Probably will now. Well, anyways, do you guys have any predictions for the way that episode 4 is gonna start off. I know it ended with basically them being like, "Well, they want a war, they'll get a war," or like whatever it says.
I don't have any specific predictions other than Black Chrysanthemum's definitely going to make a reappearance. I think Kira from Solo, maybe not in episode 4, but I would not be surprised if we saw her at some point this season.
Mm.
I still don't think we're done with the Tusken flashbacks. It would feel very abrupt for them to, make that whatever almost half the screen time in the first 3 episodes, and now, we saw the massacre, but now they stopped that completely.
Mm.
So I do predict more flashbacks there that maybe they'll explain, like we talked about, why he's doing what he's doing on Tatooine.
Yeah, I mean, going back to what you said about we don't know what chapter this is, they could also do an aspect where like this is the final chapter and like the last episode of this series is him just sitting on the throne and it's zooming out. And then the next like 2 limited series would be prequels about like what he's been doing his whole life. I think that would be cool too. No specific theories about next episode other than I think he's just going to be diving into like what's going on with the mayor and the Huts more.
Yeah, same thing. I don't really know what's gonna happen next week, but I am gonna say this. I don't think the Huts are gone.
I would be surprised if they completely abandoned it too.
Yeah, I think they're gonna wait to see what happens. I think they're assuming the Pikes are probably gonna win, and then they might come in to like do a deal or maybe clean up the scraps of whoever wins. But I don't think that's the last time we're gonna see them. And I'd like to see what's his name, the Black Wookiee.
Black
Black
Chrysanthemum.
Chrysanthemum.
Yeah, I want to see him maybe kill one of the Huts. I think that'd be a nice
Black
joke.
Croissant. I'm just gonna call him Black Croissant from now.
Well, anyways, Billy, thank you so much for joining in, man, giving us your thoughts on episode 3. Really appreciate having you on.
Thank you for having me, man. Anytime.
All right, everybody, thank you so much for listening into our episode today on Book of Boba Fett, episode 3. If you haven't had a chance already, on Monday we released I'm Thinking of Ending Things, which is a horror film. On Tuesday we had Scream 2. Today we also had Scream 3 come out, and tomorrow we have Scream 4. And on Friday we also have Pig. So plenty of stuff to listen to. And we will see you next Wednesday with Book of Boba Fett, episode 4.
Yeah.